This is The Real Deal, where real estate meets real life. Whether you're a seasoned real estate expert, a first-time home buyer, or if you're simply passionate about hearing small business stories, this is the podcast for you. Join us as we dive deep into the world of real estate and beyond.
All right. Well, welcome to episode 16 of The Real Deal, where real estate meets real life. I am your host, Janine Igliani. And today, not only is my co-host somebody who I absolutely adore, but he's also our guest today. And this is the infamous Brett, who normally you get to see, or actually you don't get to see because he's behind the scenes. But today, Brett, you stepped out of your comfort zone and now you're in front of the camera. So thank you for doing this.
No problem. Out of my comfort zone big time.
Right? This is
awesome. I never want to be on. I'm always telling you guys to be in the front. I'm the behind the scenes guy.
I love it. No, this will be fun. Well, this was impromptu, right? Because we had a change of plans and everybody loves social media and marketing. I feel like in today's day and age, it's one of the most important parts of any business. Even at our schools, we were talking about this past year, and we ended up creating a whole marketing division, communications, which encompasses that social media. And that's for a school. So if you're a business, this is going to be a great podcast for you to listen to, because there's going to be things that we're going to talk about that can apply to anything. Would you agree? Any business.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So tell us what you do on the team and tell us kind of your background.
Yeah. So I basically do most things marketing related for the team, mostly social media and video marketing. But of course, we have some of the print marketing thrown in and events marketing. It feels like kind of the whole umbrella of marketing kind of falls sort of under me or above me, however you say that. And then we all just kind of might delegate a couple things here and there and kind of share some of the responsibilities as the team. But when it comes to really, I feel like the biggest thing that I was able to drive, like coming into the team at the beginning of last year, was really the social media. Like, it feels like that it was pretty good for you guys before, but I feel like it's kind of done a complete like 180 of kind of the scope of what we do.
I totally
It's just
agree.
like a lot more, I don't know, relevant, a lot more local, a lot
focused,
more active,
intentional.
Yeah.
We're not just throwing stuff up there just to throw it up there, but it's like quality. And we've heard that from people that have said like your social media game is on point, which is like a huge compliment to you. And then I would say too, this whole podcast is really because of you being able to do this and being able to do it well. Someone told me, actually, this was Tyler. So if you're watching, Tyler, this is shout out to you. He said, if you get to episode 20, you're like top 10, like nobody makes it. Everybody starts podcasts, but nobody like continues with it. And we're at episode 16. So we're almost there.
We're almost there. I thought you were going to say like top 20 of like on the charts. I was like, whoa, I don't think we're on the top 20 charts yet.
No. Hey, we will be one day. No.
One day we can
But
be.
like, just, people don't keep going with it, right? Because it's not easy.
Yeah.
But it's worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, especially like in this day and age, I mean, the main purpose of why I thought this would be a good idea was for marketing purposes. And I mean, obviously, if you're active on social media at all, you know that like the vertical videos on TikTok or Instagram Reels or YouTube Shorts, and there's other apps that are coming up, like having vertical videos is really where you're supposed to be on social media now. And it's become kind of a trend over the past couple of years where people show a lot of these like discussion conversational videos like podcasts. And so it just really felt like a no-brainer to me to just like, especially for this business. And I feel like honestly for any business, you should do a podcast only for the reason of like, you then have episodes that you can chop up into smaller content pieces. So then you're also building up a huge library of content, like both long form and short form. So it just like makes sense.
And then you also have it forever, right?
Yeah.
It's there. You can put it on YouTube. And so people can look and research. And for us in our business, that's really important. A lot of people look us up online before they ever call us. And so this is a big part of reinforcing our reputation, our brand, and getting to know us as people is how we present ourselves on social media. And you're a big part of that. Tell us a little bit about your background and kind of how you got to be where you are today.
Yeah. So, I mean, in high school, Well, my whole life, really, I've been really into creative stuff. My very first like dream job was I wanted to be a radio DJ.
I love it.
And then the next dream job I had was I wanted to be like an Imagineer working at Disneyland.
I love it.
But then somewhere along the way in high school, it just kind of evolved into like I took graphic design classes and I took the film and TV class. And it just sort of all evolved into like, I just love making videos. And I love like playing with videos and connecting it to music. But I didn't do that professionally for like a long time. I graduated in 2009 and I didn't get like my first job related to this really until like 2017. And that's when I started working for a friend for a pest control company. And I just started doing social media content creation. And then it just kind of took off from there. Like, yeah. So here I am.
And here you are. And now you're from San Diego to Gilbert, Arizona.
Yeah.
Or really just the East Valley. But
Yeah.
we love having you here.
Yeah.
And now you're married.
Yeah.
So exciting. So tell us, when you think about social media, what would you say are like the most important social media channels that you should be on as a business owner?
Well, gosh, there are really like so many answers to that, but like we use Instagram probably the most actively. Like I just feel like with real estate, there's been probably the biggest momentum there. And I mean, a lot of that has kind of moved, depending on what your strategy is, like a lot of that has moved to like TikTok. But I feel like Instagram is really good, especially for real estate, because you can showcase like your photos, but you can also do Instagram reels. And it's very like relationship based. Like Instagram feels a little bit more like you're following a friend or family member, kind of like someone that you really almost want like a more intimate relationship with. But I mean, I think I could be wrong. Like, I don't know, someone might like be like, that's totally wrong. But I feel like Google is still the top place people go to search something, Google and YouTube. And so especially like having those powerful like search engines behind you, like YouTube is actually the biggest search engine. I mean, maybe it's TikTok now.
It is.
I don't know.
It is,
But yeah, I mean, like, this is where it comes back to video. I think the answer is not necessarily like what platform is most important, but it's like kind of how you're using the platforms in general.
That's good.
And it has to be video.
Okay.
Like, I feel like video has to be at the center of your marketing plan.
Yeah.
And it's been like that for a really long time now. And I feel like businesses are still really slow to catch on.
Yeah.
Like, some businesses still just don't get it. But especially now, like, my generation was already really into watching videos every day. But like the younger and younger generations, like it's literally the only thing you see on your phone is video content.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't think that's going to just magically disappear when they're adults and buying real world products, you know? Like, so at some point, like, I think in the next few years, like, at least I hope, as someone who does this for a living and does videography, like, I'm hoping that more and more businesses like really catch on to this. But it's also evolving a little bit too. And I don't mean to like go on a huge rant about this.
You're good.
But I feel like videography and video production is like changing. Like,
in what ways?
Like, this is my opinion, but I feel like when social media was new, it was more impressive to have like this really highly produced video. And I think that that's still like, there's still somewhere for that, but I feel like that's more for like entertainers now. Like, kids are watching YouTube videos or TikTok videos instead of watching cartoons or kid shows on TV, right? And so when you watch like a Mr. Beast video or something, they're like crazy high produced, and he has a whole team working like 24/7 for him in a huge warehouse. And like, they're not making YouTube videos, like they're making like TV shows, basically.
Right.
And so there's a place for that. But I feel like early on in social media, having your business create like a really highly produced video was kind of like the thing. And it was like, you need to like stand out, and it's going to show that you're professional. And I feel like now it's shifting to be a little bit more like relationship based and a little bit more authentic, where the newer generations really want to make a connection with someone. They don't really want to be sold to. And I feel like that's always been a change that's happened.
Yeah.
But I feel like we're so far down that line now where it's like most businesses on TikTok like aren't really making business videos.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're like throwing stuff up for fun.
Right.
And somehow, some way, like I don't know how that translates into business. Like my mind is still trying to grasp that a little bit. But you know, it used to be like we can make this explainer video and get customers from it. And now it's like more like you have to play the long game. It's like you need to make content to make a relationship with people and then just hope that that blossoms into something.
One of the funniest things to me is new agents. And I follow this account called The Broke Agent, and they make fun of this all the time of like new agents. Like, I posted my first video and I haven't got any leads from it yet. Like, what's going on? And it's like, that's not how it works. You know, to your point, it's doing it consistently over time so that they can get to know you and you build that relationship, or at least they feel like they have that relationship with you. One of the things for me that I struggle with is I'm not like your creative brain. I don't have that, but I know what I like to consume. And so just trying to show up in authentic ways. You know, one of the trends I see in our real estate world is agents put out these videos that they're all the same, right? What they're saying is different, but it's still them in this quick little script saying the same thing. And it, to me, I just like pass that. I'm like, this boring. I don't want to see it. Right. But if someone's like authentic and real and being real, which sometimes means like imperfect, right? I'm like more drawn to that because I feel like it is more real. It's less polished. And when I look at the influencers I follow and that I want to be connected to, they're the ones that are just, showing what they're wearing in the day or just having a real conversation about what's going on. And it's like, I totally connect to that. And so for me, I just feel like I have to be better about doing that and showing up that way, but it's not my like natural style. Right. So that's why I have you.
Yeah.
To help me, to remind me, to like encourage me and all of our team members, but I think a big thing for anybody is we think it has to be perfect. We have to put out perfect content, and that's not the case.
Yeah.
Sometimes like imperfect is better.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that like, I personally think that a change that we're going to maybe see, and again, I'm not like I can't see the future, but I don't know if businesses are going to always hire professional videographers to be on the team. But I think that there always needs to be a human connection, especially someone who can think a little bit in that creative brain of like, there needs to be a strategist or there needs to be like someone who's going to kind of like coach someone along.
I love that. And
I feel like that's where in my mind, like I'm sort of trying to shift to that over the next few years or whatever, like trying to figure out. Because I mean, AI is crazy and it's crazy scary and it's also crazy cool. But like, instead of being afraid, like, oh, it's going to take away my job, like I'm kind of looking at it like, how can I adapt and how can I look for new opportunities? And I think that like really it might open up a way for more like human connections. Like maybe I don't have to be behind a computer screen all the time editing a video, but maybe I can talk to someone who is like, man, I'm really struggling. Like, I don't know how to make this video, but I know I need to make videos.
Yeah.
And it's like, I want to tell them like, it's not really that important for me to come with my fancy equipment. It's really more important for you to just do it. And like, here's how I can help you like make this strategy of like how to do this and kind of create a roadmap for you and be your accountability partner or whatever. Right. But I think that like, ultimately, like that's going to be more and more important. Like it's just consistency.
Yeah. Yesterday when you gave us that list of like video ideas, my team, everybody was like, this is so awesome because I don't know what to do, but this, like, I can totally do this. I can totally talk about this or whatever and put it out there. So that's super awesome.
Well, that's awesome.
It was funny because one of the ideas you had, I implemented yesterday and I was like, oh, sweet. I should like cross this out because I love to cross off things on my list.
Yeah. No, that was the idea. It's like, it's a cool little
right. Checklist, accountability tool. Yeah. Like you're saying to help us. And especially with iPhones, right? We can do so much on there. I even see my kids and I'm like, oh my gosh, like that, the younger generation, they just instinctively know how to edit videos and put together these amazing things that I would pay like so much money to have done. Right.
Yeah, I know. And I've brought that up before, how it kind of like makes me angry a little bit. Like I'll be on TikTok and I see, like right now, the big thing is that submarine thing or whatever.
Crazy, right?
But like that's everywhere. And
Yes.
not only are people doing live videos and having their green screen backgrounds and all that, but then there's people who have made like these crazy produced videos. And I know it took them maybe just a few minutes on their
Right,
phone.
right.
And I'm like, that, the way I was taught was like I sit behind a computer and edit that and it takes me hours.
Right.
And it's like they can do it in minutes or maybe even seconds. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
So what would you say for someone starting out? Like, what do they need to start doing and putting out video content?
Yeah, well, I think, man, I mean, there's so many ways to go with that. But like ultimately, it's just finding ways to connect with people and being consistent. And I think like what you said earlier is actually really important of like when we're doing a podcast, I don't know if you said that while we were recording or not, but a lot of times people just give up. And so if you get to 20 episodes, it's like you're really like going somewhere with it, or it shows that you're being consistent, right? And I think that happens a lot of times with social media is someone who might be a new realtor or starting a new business or whatever, they get super excited. They post a couple things on like the first day. They go follow a bunch of people, and then they don't get any messages or leads or sales or whatever. And then they just like give up. Like the key thing is to build your audience first.
Yeah.
Like you have to build your audience.
Yeah.
And the only way you're going to do that is if you create something of value for them, where they're actually going to want to follow you, our audience for the home selling team has maybe grown a little bit differently. Like I wasn't here at the very beginning to see it grow out. Right. But I'm sure it started with your clients and your friends and your family. And then eventually they tell people and new clients come along. Right. So it's kind of a natural progression there. But I think it's the same with anything. But if you don't have anything to start out with, like start putting value out there and people will follow.
I love that. That's what's hard too is when I look at like our favorite Mike, who was also a guest on our podcast, was he our first guest?
I think like second or something, second or third. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. My dad was the first.
Yeah.
But Mike, he does the funniest funny videos, and his business is all about like remodeling and all of that. But then like randomly he'll do these funny videos that just totally crack me up. And I'm like, I love that. And it's like endearing, right?
Yeah.
And we've done some of those, which are like so funny. We like make fun of ourselves, but people love it. Our cornhole video is probably one of my favorites. Everybody loved that. I got so many people like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. No, that
So
was
you have to
fun.
be willing to like laugh at yourself, not take yourself too seriously, right? Sometimes I
Yeah.
think that's the problem is people like try to just be someone that they're not, and that's not authentic,
Yeah. And I mean, I think it's human nature. I listen to a lot of like sports radio. So like this week, something that came up was when a team is really struggling, like really the answer should be to kind of relax a little bit more, play a little bit more loose, have more fun. Because when you like stress out and you start pressing harder, sometimes things don't end up going the way you want them to. And I think that's like a really good parallel for life. And especially when you're talking about someone starting out with social media
Yeah.
and like making content.
Yeah.
Sometimes people start a business online when they're feeling like really pressed, when they're like, I need to make this money so bad right now. And so I think that when they don't see any hope coming their way with people following or sales coming or whatever, then it's really hard for them to keep going every day. But it's still like super important, I think, for everyone to like you were saying, like you have to be willing to kind of have some fun with it. And it really doesn't like make sense, I think, to our logical brains to do that. But like you kind of just have to provide value.
Yeah.
Whether that comes with like in the form of entertainment or connection. It doesn't always necessarily come from like, oh, here's a great offer from my business.
Right.
And I think
Right.
that's what gets twisted.
Right. What would you say are some of the common mistakes that people make on social media?
I think like we've already kind of talked about it a little bit, like giving up too soon. That's first.
So not seeing it as like the long game.
Yeah, not
right?
seeing
That
it the
you're
long
here,
game.
Yeah.
Like, you know, for example, our podcast is a great example here where really it's a long game plan.
Yeah.
You know, we might not have gotten any leads or a client from the podcast. That's very possible. But you can't really look at the numbers of like, oh, this is only getting 40 views and this one got 80 views. Like, it's not really about the views or anything yet. It's about creating the relationships, or a connection with a customer who's going to see you in 2 or 3 years. They're going to find you. They're going to see this video and they're going to like, hopefully really like the team and connect with you. Right. So yeah, I think like giving up too soon, but I also think like some of the technical things, like people still get kind of, they get kind of twisted up around them. And the platforms don't really make it easy because they're constantly changing.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
right.
People didn't think that vertical videos were going to be a thing for the longest time.
Yeah.
It's like, that's so stupid. Why, especially for people who like film and movies and stuff, having it vertical like that just doesn't make sense. But now that's the thing. That's everywhere. And so who knows if that's going to stay the thing, but you see a lot of people still kind of post the wrong format sometimes, maybe the wrong size of photos, or they're putting too much weight on the things that don't matter. And sometimes I see that like we talked about a little bit with going for like polished over something that's like authentic. And again, it depends on maybe who you've already like built up as your audience.
Yeah.
Like maybe you can stick with something really polished because that's what they're used to.
Yeah.
But I think especially when you're first starting out, it's more important like to do it rather than be perfect at it.
Yeah.
And the more you just do it and be authentic with it, I think it's going to pay off. Especially like it's insane the amount of kind of low quality stuff that people actually like and connect to. Some of the most popular videos on TikTok are like the dumbest, worst quality things. But so I just think that, yeah, done is better than perfect.
Yeah.
And especially like with social media, like I think
sure.
If you are feeling like mixed up about the formats and all that, like don't get too hung up on it.
Yeah.
Still, like it's better to be done.
Yeah. I think that's so true in so many different aspects of business, especially in ours, that idea that consistency compounds. And so doing it consistently over time, the more you do it, the bigger it becomes, the bigger your following is, the more that you're attracting people to you because they're seeing you show up consistently. And that's just like what we do in our business with farming. And I think social media has to be that same thing. I think for me too, I think people look at social media as a lead generator, and I don't know if that's necessarily the case, that someone's going to randomly hop on and see you post an Instagram reel and say, that's who I want to sell my house. But I do think that they're going to research and look you up, and that's going to build credibility and either draw them to you, or they're going to say, I really like this person. I want to do business with this person. Because in our world, people want to work with people that they know, like, and trust. And I think social media allows for them to get to know us, to kind of like us. And then we build trust when we show credibility and show that we know what we're doing. And that comes by providing value, like you were saying. So what else, Brett? What else should we talk about that is important in this world?
Well, I mean, yeah, the risk of sounding too repetitive. Like, I do think it's interesting to see especially someone who, like myself, who does kind of monitor how involved or uninvolved businesses are with video and social media. Sometimes it is kind of shocking, like how many businesses are still not doing it. Like a good example is my dad, actually, where he had a, I don't think he's going to listen to this, but
hey, it's his son on here. You know?
But he had a HVAC company. And, you know, one day I tried to kind of talk to him. I was like, I think you should really start like making some video content. And, put some videos on your website or start something on social media. And he just was like, no, you don't understand. Like, that's not how business is done. We're totally relationship based. We have all these, relationships that I've built with people for the past like 40 years. And I totally get that. Like, I think that that's still really valuable, but at some point that's going to shift.
Yeah.
At some point there's going to be new people running the businesses, and there's going to be new people that you have to make relationships with. And it's not necessarily going to be just like, hey, let me call up my old pal from 30 years ago or whatever. Like, I think at some point there has to be some sort of shift. And it's interesting that like you're still kind of catching people kind of stuck in like the early 2000s when it comes to social media. Like, they see it as this new thing when it's really not. It's like been around for a very long time now,
which is crazy. Yeah.
And especially video content, people were telling us for years, like, hey, by the time it's like 2025, all your video feeds are going to be video. And I don't think a lot of people believe them. But now here we are, and literally everything that you see, even on the old platforms, like Instagram is an old platform now, and it's like 95% video.
Oh, totally. And that's crazy because like you think about the story feature on Instagram versus the post feature, and I'm more drawn to the story feature than the post, right? Because the posts tend to be static photos, things like that, whereas the stories tend to be more dynamic, video based. And I think about Facebook too, right? Facebook's totally shifted in terms of how it was used before to how it's been used now, right? I know a big thing on Facebook is like the groups, the community groups, the affinity groups, right? Where you can feel like, okay, I'm a part of this, and connect and have conversations and chats based on that. But when it comes to entertainment and wanting to get to know the person behind it, that's where I feel like Instagram is really good, and YouTube too, right? I feel like for us, using YouTube to showcase all of our listings has been really, really important. Especially in today's day and age, and even through COVID, when people were buying homes virtually, having those full walkthrough videos of our listings were so helpful, because it really gave people a sense of the flow of the home, and then gave them the opportunity to like see it and kind of just take it in, right? Even after they had looked at it or had bought it or maybe even seen it in person, being able to reference back to that video was awesome. And then I love YouTube for putting out like evergreen content that will be good, that's on there forever, that won't ever, be outdated. And so trying to put stuff out there, but also like we host all of our podcasts. So as this continues to go on, that'll be fun to like go back and look at the trajectory, right, of how we've grown.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
YouTube, set itself up really well to be really resilient. Like, they started off as video, and it's still video. And like, you go to like Facebook, it's kind of hard because it started off as more of like pictures and text, and they've had a hard time kind of shifting. But like you said, it's really like community based. Yeah,
I know. And the younger generation isn't even on Facebook. Like, it's so rare, to see someone. But having that Instagram, and then I think another thing too, I'm just thinking as my daughter goes into adulthood and is looking for jobs, that's a big thing now, is how you show up online. Employers are looking at that and seeing what kind of content are you putting out there? Who are you as a person, to get to know you? And so that can even help or hurt you. And you have to be careful and be aware of that too. Because that's also, we've seen people, not in my world, but close to me, where they've lost their jobs because of what they've put out there, right? Yeah. And also, again, in our business where it's so relational, who you are is either going to attract or turn people off. So just make sure that you're putting out, like, you're comfortable with what's out there. When I was a kid, my English teacher told us, this, you guys will be like, what? But she said, don't ever put anything in writing that you wouldn't want published in the newspaper. And her point was like, whatever you want to make sure that you're comfortable with it being put out to the masses. And I think social media is the same too. Like, it's probably not a good idea to post you getting drunk and doing crazy things on the weekend, right? Like, that might not be good for the future.
Yeah, 100%.
So maybe show that you're out having fun, but maybe like monitor it a little bit.
Yeah.
What else, Brett? What else should we talk about that's important?
Well, shoot, that's I don't know. I mean, I think, again, I think that staying on top of what's trending is really hard, you know, and especially for people that never really grew up with the internet or phones or social media. Like, there's still a lot of those people still very active in running businesses. And, you know, I will say, like, I do think there's a lot of value in trying to stay on top of things, you know, and I think that you'll find a lot of people that are still just kind of behind. Right. And, yeah, so I think just that's important. Like, you don't have to get up and do crazy dances or do all the crazy trends, but just find a way to stay active with what's trending.
Yeah, that's really good advice. I think social media is obviously not going anywhere. It's like a huge part of our life now, and it's like almost a necessary evil that you have to be a part of. And especially in a business, it can actually really help you and make things a lot easier, because it gives people the opportunity to get to know you in an authentic way, to see, hey, is this someone that I want to do business with, right? That's just the nature of our world that we live in. One
thing I thought of real quick is, you know, when I was in high school, I had people that were like, oh man, I wish I could play video games for a living. And everyone was like, yeah, whatever, that's never going to happen. And now it actually does happen, right? There's not only do people play them professionally, but people are streaming them and getting paid to basically play video games as an entertainer.
Yeah.
And I think that it's really interesting to think about what the future is going to look like. There's a lot of people who kind of speculate that the economy could eventually be totally shifted to be almost one-on-one creator based. And I'm like, I don't even know how to wrap my head around that. There's still going to be a lot of things that are going to be necessary. It's not like, I hope that we're not ever going to be in this metaverse world where we're wearing goggles or something. But, you know, I would say, like, don't like necessarily try to persuade people like away from being actively involved with things that they're passionate about. Because I think that, like, maybe if a kid has a little bit of a dream of like, I'm gonna be this social media guy, or like I'm gonna be a streamer or something.
YouTuber is what I hear.
YouTuber.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I'm not saying that should be like what they go to college for or something. I don't know, but it very well could be possible that, like, more and more that should actually be encouraged.
That's interesting.
You know? Where, like, there's already ways that people are getting paid to be creators and to be content creators. And I don't know, like, how much room there is for that in the world. Like, I want to say that it's infinite.
Right.
But I don't know. I don't be so, like, quick to, like, knock those ideas down.
That's good.
You know what I mean?
My poor little boy, I want to be a YouTuber.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like, maybe there's a way where it fits in.
Yeah.
Maybe he's not going to be the YouTuber that he thinks he's going to be right now. But
so maybe what you're saying is, don't, like, totally shut that down. Like, that could maybe be a possibility.
Yeah. I mean, because again, it's not like everyone can make money doing videos on playing video games.
Yeah.
But that was something that was completely mocked and made fun of.
Yeah.
And I did it as a kid. It's like, no way, dude, you're never going to make money doing that. That's stupid. And now I probably have people that I know or did know that are, like, big time streamers. I have no idea. But
I love that.
Oh no, it's just interesting to think about.
That's really good.
Yeah. Like, with this whole world, I feel like you have to kind of try to think like a couple steps ahead. Otherwise, you're going to be forever behind. You know, if you're still right now today thinking like, I don't need video, I don't need social media, like, you're way behind. Like, I'm sorry to say it to you, but you're way behind.
I'm trying, Brett. I'm trying. I feel like you're talking to me.
Well, no, that would be a little bit of a reflection on me too. So, like, no, I'm not calling you out.
No, it's okay.
I feel like your team, the homeschooling team, I feel like has really embraced, like, doing this podcast is a big embracing of this, right? And I mean, I think that's one way where I wish I would have stuck with it. Like, I actually, when I was 15 or 16, I started a podcast with friends.
Oh, I love that.
And like we sat in my garage and we recorded just us talking, and like it was so dumb at the time, and I was
But
just,
look
like,
at, yeah.
and now I'm like, what if we would have stuck with
That's
that?
crazy.
You know,
Right?
16 years later,
I
and
love that.
like who knows? We
Right.
could have been having fun doing this. I don't know, but you just never know like what sort of these kids who have like these ideas now, like it really could translate into something.
I think one kind of final note to end this or wrap this up on is I definitely know my strengths, and that creative side of things is not one of them. Again, I know what I like and what I like to consume, but when it comes to creating it and putting it out there, that's not something that I can do. But being able to lean into others and lean into you and look to you for that wisdom, that guidance, that direction, because that is how you're wired, has been really helpful. And so that could be a really good piece of advice to somebody is if they feel like, well, I don't know how to do this, or this isn't how I'm wired, that's okay. Then leverage that, right? And find someone who is, that can help you with it.
Yeah, 100%. And like I said, that might not be necessarily someone who's going to be like your full-time videographer. It could be, but maybe you have someone who's just going to kind of help you strategize a little bit.
Yeah.
And I would say also that like, it doesn't necessarily have to be your nephew or your friend's son or something. Like there's a lot of people, like a lot of really talented people out there who would really be helpful at like helping you do this. So,
and don't you think it's okay to copy others? If you like what someone's doing, then do the same thing. Just put your own spin on it.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, I think it's really hard to be totally original nowadays. So like, yeah, you have to model someone. And so I think that's a great place to start. If you don't really know where to go, look at someone else who does what you do and kind of model what they do on social media.
Yeah.
You don't want to be like a total copycat,
Right.
but yeah.
Yeah. Why not? Well, this was fun. Anything else? Did we miss anything?
I don't think so. No, I'm good.
I love that we got you on this side of the camera, on
Yeah.
this side of the microphone. I think this is going to be epic.
The worst part is going to be me editing myself. I'm going to have to put it on mute and
No.
turn the video off and just be like,
No,
I
so
don't want to
good.
see this.
It is so good. Well, we love having you, Brett. Love what you've brought to the team and love the things that you've encouraged us to implement, step out of our comfort zones. It's been awesome. So thank you.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to The Real Deal, where real estate meets real life. Make sure to follow or subscribe to the Home Selling Team on YouTube, Instagram, and Spotify to stay up to date with our podcast.